Welcome to Align to Your Design. I'm your host, Baeth Davis. Isn't it time to wrap your business around your purpose and bring your greatest work to the world? Each week, join me as we explore various biometric tools such as human design and hand analysis and how to use them to fulfill your destiny and align to your design. We will reveal how to do the work you are designed to do rather than what you think you should do. Hey everyone, Baeth Davis here. Welcome to Align to Your Design, where I interview people that I have decided that are living their design. They're on purpose. And I think it's very important to see individuals on purpose, listen to people on purpose, surround yourself with people who are living their design correctly, because it helps you live correctly. And there's nothing more important than to live your design, be in your purpose, and experience the fulfillment that comes from that. So what we do on this show, this may be your 10th time listening or your first time listening, is we meet our incredible guests, we go on a little journey with them, and then we have a look at their human design. And I always ask them a question before the show about what they'd like to look at in their design, and then we explore it. So here we go. Our guest today is a projector, and you're going to find out more about that. Mostly I end up interviewing manifesting generators and generators because that's most of the population. 70% of humanity is either a generator or manifesting generator. Projectors make up 21% of the population. And our guest today is a wonderful woman named Erin Brown. She has over 20 years of comedy experience as a host, a writer, a comic, an actress. She appeared on NBC's Last Comic Standing, Lifetime's My Crazy Ex, Fox News' Good Day New York. Paired with her time working in the corporate world, she is the CEO of Hot Red Carpet, and she understands the need for people to connect, feel valued, play, and be uplifted. Whether it's a Zoom meeting, virtual happy hour, personal celebration, or live conference that's now remote, Erin supercharges every experience with hot red carpet mentality, creating a space that's engaging, disarming, and fun. A hot red carpet mentality empowers you to show up as your best self no matter what. And since stress causes 80% of illness, and I can attest to that, stress is the killer, all of Erin's work centers on increasing the levity of any occasion, adding value that feels good. So Erin and I are going to talk about her comedy career, her creative process, and how she's leveraging her comedic skills into other realms in this big online space that has expanded so much over the past year. And with that, let's bring on our wonderful guest, Ms. Erin Brown. Welcome to Align to Your Design.
Hello.
There we go. Hi.
Starting off with a bang.
Hey, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Projectors need to be invited.
That's right. I've learned.
We maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
The whole invitation situation. When did you first realize that you could make people laugh?
Well, I grew up in a family, big family, youngest of 5 kids, Irish, Catholic. And so there's a lot of funny people in my family, my immediate family, and also my extended family. So there's always zingers going back and forth. But my first time, apparently when I was 3 years old, I was impersonating Jimmy Carter. And so my aunt tells me this story. I kind of remember it, but I don't know if I remember her telling the story more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there was, I guess, the election. Now I'm telling you my age, but it doesn't matter. He was on screen, and I guess I turned around to them and just did like a huge smile, like I was imitating the guy on screen. So I was a natural mimic. And I do also remember, then I was Jimmy Carter for Halloween because my brother made me be that in kindergarten. I was like, everyone was like cute princesses and fairies, and I was a politician. And it was great. And then my other like memory, I clearly remember being in first grade in reading group. I was smart, but I was always, talking. And I leaned over to the kid next to me and I was like, did you know people are just dying to get into the graveyard? And I thought that was hilarious. And I remember I saw my teacher like crack up and have to hide. Like she didn't want to show me that she was laughing. So I always knew I could get people to laugh from a very early age.
And then when did you decide you wanted to leverage that into your work?
I thought that for my whole life, like since I was a kid. I remember, again, I think it might be because there was such a big age gap between my siblings and I. And so they were watching Saturday Night Live and Johnny Carson, my dad watched every night. I grew up in a house of night owls. I joke that, don't call us at 8 o'clock in the morning, but ring the bell at, midnight. My mom's like ironing and putting on a pot of coffee and she's about to go to the supermarket. So I mean, not that I never went to bed, but it was a fight. So I was into late night television. And then on the weekends, I remember there was a show at 11 o'clock that was like stand-up comedy live or something. And I used to watch that and I would think I want to do that. And so, yeah, I always, since I was a kid. And when I did have a teacher, Miss D'Annunzio, she was a fantastic teacher. I still keep in touch with her actually. And she taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I went to a Catholic grammar school and she taught English and religion. And she was a character in herself. She was a former nun. They called her Sarge. But I wasn't afraid of her because by the time I got to her, again, I had heard all the stories filter down in my household. But I have to say she was ahead of her time because every Thursday we had to do something called oral presentation. And it started out in 6th grade as, a poem. You had to memorize or certain things you had to orate. And then by 8th grade, we were making up sketches, commercials, and we had to do a 3 to 5 minute speech. Believe it or not, I did like Shakespeare. I did Mark Antony for the oratorical contest. I'm so going down memory lane right now, but just to give you sort of, it was always instilled in me. Like I just had it naturally. So for a kid like me, like that was amazing. For someone who was a wallflower, they were freaking out. But to her credit, like by 8th grade, they were able to talk with confidence, for 5 minutes in front of a large crowd. So any opportunity like that, like I would stay up late doing that stuff. I made films, JVC mini camera. It was like the best day of my life when my dad brought that home. And I could tell you about different skits and sketches that we were making. But so, yeah, so I always was on that trajectory. And in my mind, in my gut, I was like, I want to do comedy. I want to do comedy. I want to do comedy.
Tell us about your experience on Last Comic Standing. How was that for you?
It's very brief. It's very brief. I went through the audition process and then I got invited to do the showcase. So truly that's how I got on the show. And they have me I used to do an impression of Renee Zellweger when she was, before she completely changed her face. And that was really it. I was not like, I didn't make the cut where I was on it for weeks and weeks, but it was cool. It was a neat experience. It was high stakes. It was really nerve wracking. It's reality TV is a weird world.
Did you have a comedy dream? And if so, what was it? And has it morphed or shifted to where you are now? Like how has that, in a sense, vision for your career morphed over time?
Well, I had a comedic dream last night and you were in it, but that's a whole other story.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the dream. Yep.
I was like, wait, like I was like dreaming I was completely like late for the show, like a day late. Anyway, yeah, subconscious. A comedy dream. Yeah, I always thought SNL, man. And I went to the Groundlings here in Los Angeles. And before that, I did improv comedy in New York. So I thought that was it. And after I did stand up for a while, it wasn't the thing that got me up in the morning. Like I really preferred sketch comedy. I'm more of a sketch artist, I would say. And in my stand up, the biggest response I would get was when I was emceeing a crowd, because I'm very good at emceeing and I'm still doing that. in a different capacity, which we'll talk about. But whenever I do my act outs and tell stories and do the characters, like that's what I always got the response, because I was a mimic. I mean, that was it. Like I could mimic things and I could make up characters, and Groundlings is an incredible program to teach you how to do that. And it's so great no matter what you're doing. I recommend improv comedy. So yeah, I have to say, here's the thing. I have very few, if any, regrets in my life and in my career. I went for everything that I wanted to. I didn't necessarily obviously get the results, but there's certain things that are out of your control. Like I did everything in my power that I was aware of to try to get myself there. Writing shows, performing shows, auditioning, doing voiceovers. And I got work here and there. And then I had my web series, but showbiz is a hustle. So I think my dream, there's still dreams inside me. I've just like let go of certain things because it was no fun anymore. And it wasn't like, I wasn't like thriving in my life because it was this like constant hustle. And I was married to this thing and it was good for a while until it wasn't. So yeah. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So share with us what you're doing now, because I think what you're doing now is fun and innovative and useful.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And let me just say too, that other stuff I just talked about, it's been a journey to get to that point and to get over the whole, like, to even talk about that of like, because I know in my soul, and I don't say this from any kind of ego, like I have all the talent in the world, all the skill to do that show or to be in that business. But apparently the universe has a different trajectory for me. So once I kind of surrendered and accepted that and got rid of my bitterness, because there were times where there was things I couldn't watch, like, and it's very freeing to know, okay, now I'm going to take these same skills that I have. And now what I'm doing today is really empowering. And so years ago, many years ago, before there was such a term as YouTube star, I put up a video on YouTube called Hot on the Red Carpet, where I poked fun at Hollywood's red carpet. And because there were so many shows, award shows going on, and then there were so many shows about those shows, then there were so many shows about the shows that were about the shows. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I took a red bath mat and went to Hollywood Boulevard, threw on a tacky dress and just started interviewing people. I had a cameraman and I didn't expect much. And it was hordes of people surrounding me that wanted to be interviewed, regular quote unquote people, Joe from Kansas, and they're tourists. And I would pretend they were going to the Oscars. I was like, who are you wearing? And are you nervous? And, all the same stuff. And it was it took off. And then I got Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson on it about a year later. And so that sort of was a thing I was doing for a while. I'm getting to what I'm doing today, but it's also part of it. I got invited to events to cover, which was the irony of it all, because I was not a journalist. I was a smartass. And it was fun. And I got jobs from it, but not enough to, again, sustain me to be in like show business, to be a regular on one of the late night shows. So I started doing it for private events. A friend asked me to do it at their wedding, which I thought was crazy and then perfect because they had 27 people in their wedding party. I was like, was there an open call for the wedding party? I mean, it was nuts. So it was like then and there, then I did corporate stuff. So it basically gave this quote unquote red carpet experience, very cheeky, albeit, and it gave people a little place to be interviewed, feel like a star, because we are all stars, truly, and got them to shine. And for whatever reason, they would talk to me and then we'd make a fun video, like a little 3 to 5 minute video for the people or longer. So that was what I was doing. And then COVID happened. So I was like, great. Just as I finally let go of this dream, went into live events, the world shut down. And I talked to a couple of people I had worked for, and I figured, how could I serve you? And I had pitched a game show online, like, cause we're all on Zoom. And so now I host Survey Says, which is a virtual version of Family Feud. Basically, it has a couple of little spins on it. Super fun. And I host it with a DJ Black Rabbit, Ray Brown. He's my brother from another mother. Shout out. He's amazing. And so, yeah, the two of us have done it for organizations and for team bonding, for corporate, from the medical field to banking to technology to families. It's been really rewarding. So they laugh a lot. And then while I've been doing my hosting, survey says I also host MC events online. So same skill set, just revving up the crowd, making them excited to be, or really, getting them excited, because everyone has a seed of excitement. I feel like I'm just there to bring it out in people and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. And then lastly, Baeth Davis, I realize that people right now in this virtual world have trouble being on camera. And in general, talking to people, I can go back to my improv that I just told you about, how I think everybody should take an improv class, bar none. I think it should be at least an elective in the school curriculums, because if nothing else, like, go back to Miss D'Annunzio, it gives you all the confidence in the world, which is what we need as human beings. I don't care if you're a car salesman or a secretary or a chef, just standing in your power and being confident, or faking it till you make it, is very powerful. So I now have it's an online course that I'm developing. I work one-on-one with people, and I'm developing a course, how to have red carpet confidence on video calls.
So needed. Now tell me a bit about coaching people. What kind of person comes to you for help, and how do you help them?
Mostly it's been solopreneurs or entrepreneurs who are building their businesses, because so many of us are, especially in this online world. I also did a class recently for a sales force. They're in the transportation. I don't know if you can hear the leaf blower, but I asked them to come during the show. Great. Okay.
Can't hear
it. Cool. Well, it's good, because I also called a marching band, and they're going to be coming down pretty soon too.
Excellent. I can't wait.
They live right, for real. I always hear a marching band. There's a high school near me. So I think it's people that know that they need help, and they want to tap into their charisma in a way, or just, it completely varies. It could be someone who just doesn't even want to turn their camera on in a call. So that could be a win for them. Or it could be this one girl I'm working with her business has now gone from outside to obviously inside, and she guides a lot of different people. And so she's working on her bit, her signature hello and her goodbye and her sign off. And what I find is that people that work with me really want the help. They want to be coached. They want to have fun, because I'm not the only one out there doing coaching with the material, I guess you could call it. But I'm the only one that's going to deliver it through this vessel. And I'm sure as heck going to make it as fun as possible, because if I'm not having fun, you're not going to have fun. And I don't really like to not have fun during my day. Yeah, it's been really rewarding too. And it's gone deeper. Like, even though I'm like, yeah, like I tell people it's like a tree, I'm a big Kundalini yoga person too. I'm a weirdo in a lot of different areas, in a good way. But just, I do different like improv exercises with them. It varies from person to person, but to get them like revved up and get them very energized. But then it's like, take it down, get into your body, take some deep breaths, and then get to your core and set your intention. So it's that combination of having your feet planted on the ground and having your branches waving in the trees, so you're all connected. Because I believe that when we're all centered, and I have to tell myself this as well, because I can just go, ADD girl. I'm not really ADD, but some people think I am, because I'm like spinning a million plates. And it's like, I've learned to really hone it in, take that deep breath, slow down, and get centered on what's inside me. And then I can be like out in the world. So we do a lot of that type of work. And in that internal stuff comes up, as you know, because you're a coach. Your worthiness, what you really want to put out into the world. It's deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you're stirring.
It's not just an improv class. Like, I've taught improv, which is fun. It's a blast. This is a little, and there's part of like coaxing and giving them confidence, like, no, like encouraging them. The best people I've ever worked with improv wise, by the way, are not actors. Like this one guy, he was a musician, and he just was doing it for complete fun. And he was so free up there. It was a pleasure to watch. He would just be like, boom, I'm a kite. I'm a this, I'm a that, you know, versus some of the other people were all in their heads like, does it look good? Do I sound okay? I'm like, dude, just get rid of the ego and I got to get the job. I got to do this right. Just there is no right. It's just being present and being in the moment. So all of the stuff I've done all for like a long time now has come to this point where it's like, oh, does really all make sense. Because 3 years ago it didn't.
Mm-hmm. And now it's coming together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Who inspires you in the comic world? Are there any comedians that have been sources of inspiration for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, of course the greats, Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett and Johnny, the original SNL, Gilda. I'm mentioning all chicks because there's a lot of funny ladies out there. But I love Martin Short, any of the Second City people, Catherine O'Hara. Oh my gosh, she's my comedy crush and she's like one of the only people I got nervous in front of Hollywood wise.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. That's a kind of a funny little story. But yeah, Steve Martin, anyone who's kind of goofy and silly and has heart. I mean, yeah, those would be some top notch. Bill Murray. And I think Chloe, the new girl on SNL, is awesome. Well, she's been there for a couple of seasons. I can't think of her last name.
What does she look like?
Very pretty. She can morph into any character. She was
Is she
also
blonde?
Yes. Her impersonations are like spot on.
Yeah. I've seen her.
There's a groundling. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's funny. And she does these, I don't know who the guy is with her. He's another guy. He's not on SNL yet. Who knows? They must have met in the groundlings and they do stuff together all the time on Instagram. They do really funny, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. Is that who she's married to?
Yeah.
They do really funny things together. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah. Would you consider most of your comedy clean?
Mm-hmm.
You're more in that realm versus the shock.
Yes.
Swear word. I mean, there's all kinds of ways people approach comedy, of course, and I find all of it funny if the person is actually funny.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what your thoughts are about people being funny. Do you think someone can learn to be funny?
No.
No.
Short answer.
And would you say that most comics would say that as well? No.
Or I can't really speak on behalf of all of them. I think you're either funny or you're not. I think you're born with it or you're not. I do believe most people, I hope, have a sense of humor. I believe they have the capacity in there because everyone does like to laugh, even if not everybody does. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like as a human being, you're born with all these different seeds of emotion, fear, anger, happiness, sadness, all of it. So yeah, you know how to laugh. I think, but comedy is timing and it's hard to teach timing. And I just think it's natural. I think you can instruct someone how to deliver in a better way, like it's in the delivery or tell a joke, but that's not really in their soul. They might be a good mimic like I was or am. But yeah, no, I don't think you can teach it. I think you either have it or you don't.
How would Renee Zellweger say this?
She'd be like, I don't really know. She would just go, comedy completes me.
That's really good. That's really
good. It's all in the face with her.
It is all in the face.
It's all in the face. And you asked me something else. Maybe it'll come back to me about teaching if people can be funny. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Do you think people are born with it or can they learn it?
No, I think they're born with it. Yeah, I think they're born with it. And also, I mean, one of the funniest guys I know is a dentist in Fort Lauderdale. You know.
Yeah.
Funny. You know, funny.
Yeah, I mean, I have people in my family that I don't know why they didn't go into comedy. I mean, sometimes some of the funniest people, I think most people could say this, some of the funniest people we all know aren't actually in the profession of comedy. They're in some other profession. They are just naturally funny.
Yeah, they're smart.
And they're entertaining people all the time.
Yeah, because comedy it's a tough business. It's a dirty business. It's a dark business, I know I did about the, do I use, am I blue? What's my style? I always described it as network friendly, because if you're trying to get onto a show, you're not going to be dropping F-bombs unless maybe now, I mean, you're on Netflix or something like that. But I don't really tend to talk that way in person. I'm not saying I'm Miss Perfect. I do sometimes, but it's not so much who I am. And for me, yeah, like you said, unless it's done in a way where it really serves the comedy, then okay. Like, I think it's fun. Like, blue jokes can be funny, but if it's just for the shock value, I'm like, make me laugh. Like, use your mind, use your real creativity, because anyone can get up there and tell like a dirty joke, or like, go right to like the crassness, or like, whatever, I was having sex with blah, 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 blah. It's just like, okay, yeah. But like, I don't know. I think it takes a little bit more creativity to not always go to the lowest denominator. That's what I wanted to say about that. But hey, who am I? Because there's plenty of people making millions of dollars who do that. But it just, for me, that doesn't work for me. So if that means I'm doing survey says, I'm cool with that.
Well, and the richest comic, Jerry Seinfeld, and he's always does clean comedy. I don't think I've ever heard him swear. I mean, he probably does, but I haven't heard it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk a bit about you being a projector.
Okay.
In human design. Projectors make up 21% of the population. You're the newest human hybrid out there, projectors. And projectors are really designed to guide other people, guide the energy of other people by asking good questions and giving support. And the way you are able to enter into opportunities correctly is through an invitation. The more formal, the better. And this flies in the face of how we're culturally trained to go get it, make it happen. As you were speaking about earlier in your comedy career, hustle, the grind. And certainly that works for certain people. It doesn't work for projectors.
Yeah.
Can you speak to what your thoughts and feelings were when you first discovered you were designed to wait to be invited into opportunities?
Sure. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I'm a pretty gregarious person. I'm not afraid to approach people. I'm outgoing. I would say I'm an extrovert. So that confused me. At first I was befuddled by it. However, when my coach, Baeth Davis, oh, that's you, I had told you, I was like, I'm so exhausted from this. I kept calling it a hustle because then I had switched gears to writing. I'm like, let me get into the writer's room. And I was churning out all these scripts. You said, well, of course you're exhausted because you're not designed to do this. And I had hit a certain point in my life, right? I had been conditioned as a generator, which I think the world is.
Yes.
And you got to just do it, right? And get out there and go for it. And you create your own destiny and all that other stuff. So I was all for that. So for me, then it was liberating to know that it didn't hinder me. It was like, oh, okay, well, at least it makes sense that because I was kind of getting concerned, like, I can't do this anymore. And the waiting for the invitation, once I wrapped my head around it, it's not as difficult as it seems. It's, again, liberating. Like, sometimes it's a little, like testing the patience. But what I get from it is there are ways to get invited. It's as simple as, would you like some feedback on that? Or would you like to hear my thoughts on it, depending on the situation? And if they say no, then no invitation, no need for me to waste my energy.
That's right.
And that is very empowering, because there are, like, even just in personal relationships where I had a lot of energy vampires, and I've learned to cut them off. I think I was already on my way. It's amazing how many things I was already doing naturally before all of a sudden there was a label for everything, like human design. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm already doing that. Like thankfully, like, I had a strong sense of self. I knew I was here to uplift, and I really did go for it. You know what I mean? And now midlife, it's like, oh, human design explains like what I've been sort of doing. And I'm maybe almost glad I have it now versus like earlier. But the waiting for the invitation, I've learned to understand better what it means. But yes, my first reaction was, what the heck? How am I supposed to even do anything?
And how have you found that the invitations are coming to you now?
I don't have expectations of them, which is, I think it helped me slow down even more and trust that I am being taken care of and that there is abundance in my life, in work, in relationships, and community. And so all of a sudden it'll be like out of nowhere, seemingly. Like this, I had a call last week with some girl, and we didn't really know why we were talking, but we felt like we should just connect. And then she's like, I think we're going to work together at some point down the road. I don't know. And then the next day she's like, hi, I already miss you. No, but I talked to a girl and she needs an MC and you're the perfect person. So I'm going to connect you to. So I have a call with that person today. So like that, those are the little surprise, like, oh, it really is coming. And then, oh, what, cause I'm still getting my footing in business. Like I'm not, a millionaire yet. But it just feels a heck of a lot more comfortable being able to trust that I don't have to push so hard. And so another customer came to me in the last 2 weeks. Hey, you worked with our company a couple months ago. We want to use you again. And now I'm going to work with them again. So yeah, the invitations, I think I just have to be aware of them and ready for them and not, I think it's fun when they just come out of nowhere. And then also when they do come, I don't have to say yes to all of them.
That's right.
I'm not a yes person anymore.
That's right. One of my other projector clients said to me that she'd been ignoring the invitations.
Oh, really?
And then she started to notice them when she realized she was a projector. And that when she said yes to the right invitations, it was leading her down this path that was so fulfilling.
Wow.
But she was so in her head before about her own agenda that she just disregarded a lot of the invitations because they didn't fit her mental picture.
Wow. That's
And then
very interesting.
once she started opening up, she realized there were invitations all the time around her.
Yes.
She just wasn't seeing them.
Yes. That's interesting because I do feel like I was overcommitting myself all the time my whole life. Like even just as a kid, I was like in 10 sports, but then running to play practice, but then I had to stay up all night to do my paper. But it's just like, and my father, my whole life, slow down, slow down, slow down. Boy, was he right. Like the more I read about my design, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Now your dad saw you.
Oh, did he ever? He really.
Are you close to your dad?
Yeah, I mean, he's in heaven now, but yeah, I talk to him still all the time.
When you were growing up, was he the person you could go to for advice? Or did that come later?
Yes, James Brown. Yes, he's an incredible guy, incredible provider. Was not happy though that I was going into showbiz. So there was some wonky years there. And so my mom was the in between it was all about love. It was all love. He was just being an overprotective parent, seeing like a yucky business that his kid was going into and she had all this other potential. But now I had to go through all of that. And we did finally have a come to Jesus moment. And I will say this because it's kind of interesting. It's very on point. I'm talking so much. This is an interview. That's what I'm supposed to do.
You're supposed to talk. Yeah. You're doing it correctly.
There was some, like I was in my 20s and I didn't understand he was having a real hard time with me quitting my day job in corporate America. And like, I'm going to go be an actress. I'm going to go do comedy. And he's like, oh my gosh. Cause he's from a whole different generation and parents came, off the boat from Ireland. And he was a very successfully self-made guy. So it was all his own fear and love. Right. And I think I had said, would he love me more if I was a lawyer? And my mom was like, what? Like, that's where I was. So I get this letter from him. It was this beautiful letter, which God, I wish I still had it. It was an email. But what I do remember in the letter was, you have a lust for life. That is totally a projector. And he did too. I don't know what he was, but he did too. So yeah. No, I hit the jackpot with my parents. They're great. And my mom is around and she's awesome. She's hilarious. She's funny. They're both funny.
That's wonderful.
Different senses of humor, though.
That's wonderful. Well, as we go on the home stretch of the show, I want to pull up your chart.
Great.
And as I do, I ask our guests before the show, is something you want to look at. So we're going to look at your gate 34. And can you see your chart on the screen?
I don't see the chart. I see the, there we go. If you bring it
Okay,
up a
hang
little.
on. Let me just, I gotta close something here. Okay. If we move down into the chart, you've got gate 34 here. And it's from the design side, and it's in Venus.
So it's the unconscious, right?
Yeah,
The
it's the unconscious love, beauty, romance energy,
mm-hmm.
which Venus represents. And this is how it shows up for you in your body. And it's a line 1 energy. So there's an element for you in relationships where you need a lot of creative autonomy in order for the intimacy to be successful. Because if someone is not supportive of this creative drive that you have, they're not seeing you.
Mm.
They're not seeing you. And of all the gates off the sacral, what's interesting is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gates off the sacral, but it's not defined. No projector has a defined sacral. It's one of the things that makes someone a projector. I won't get into all the reasons right now, but that's one of the things. 30% of humanity doesn't have a defined sacral, and 21% of those humans are projectors like yourself. However, you have a lot of hanging gates. You have a lot of sacral energy looking to connect, which in part is what gives you all that energy. Plus, you have a defined solar plexus and a defined root, which are motors, and that gives you energy. So you're technically an energy projector. And when you meet people who have the other side of these gates, wherever they might have them, you get activated. The sacral gets activated, which is what would have given you all that energy. And particularly living in a house with other people, are some of your family members generators?
Probably.
Yeah, probably they are if you have a look. So
Yeah.
the essence of this 34 is that it's not a sexual energy in your Venus. It's a creative energy. It's the one gate off the sacral that isn't so much interested in sexuality. I mean, the other gates have their place around sexuality, but it's about directing sexual energy into creativity. 34 is this pure energy that says the words need to become deeds. If I'm going to talk about it, I got to do it.
Mm.
So someone that has gate 34 typically will follow through. If I say
Wow.
I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to
Yep.
do it. And so this would make you devoted in a romantic sense. If you said you're going to be there in that relationship, you would show up for it. You also have gate 29, which is the yes gate, which is the gate of devotion. So people that have gate 29, they're devoted to the things they say yes to, if they say the yes correctly. And in your case, it would be saying the yes correctly to the right invitation. And then
Right.
that devotion kicks in. And one other thing you asked me about are some of the gates you have in multiple places. You've got 18 and 16 and gate 9. And when a chart shows up with this striped situation, black and red stripes, it means that the gate is activated both on the design side, which represents your body, and on this side over here, the personality. And so if we talk about gate 16, you've got it in your south node on the design side, and you also have it in the south node on the personality side. The south node is, in a sense, our past, where we've come from. And at about age 42, we move more into the frequency of the north node. So your south node was saying that you had all this verbal enthusiasm for things in the past, and you were a leader in this verbal way, and you were creating a lot of content to share, which is what comedy is in many ways, is sharing this enthusiasm, right, with an audience. And what you're moving into is the 9, which you have in your north node. Same lines. So now you're creating content, same as before, but this time you're creating content that enables people to channel their creative energy into a focused project.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're also, the line 5 is leadership in this regard. So you could be leading teams, guiding teams to be more focused, to unify, to get, in a way, get a bit more still and more simple in what they're doing. And so it's interesting, the energy is shifting through your life from being in this leadership role and creating content and being in this on stage speaking role, being Miss Enthusiasm, which is still there because it's part of your design. This new energy coming in at this point in your life is taking that same skill for creating content and being a leader and bringing it into the realm of Gate 9, which is very interested in the details and focusing in on those details and seeing things through. It's a completion energy versus an enthusiasm that's verbal. It's an energy that's non-verbal, that you're obviously going to talk, but you're helping these groups of people focus in. So there's more expansion coming your way, no doubt. I mean, you're in the right realm, and you're doing survey says with teams, you're developing your coaching practice, and as that grows, I see you, being hired by CEOs to advise their teams, guide their teams, which is what a projector ultimately is here to do. All the projectors in the world are really here to guide the teams. 21% of humanity is designed to be a leader that asks the right questions to guide the team. You all do it in different ways depending on your design. Were you going to ask me something?
Yeah, I love this. And then the 9 also shows up one more time on the design side.
Yes, it does. It shows up in Neptune.
What is that about? Why so many 9s?
There's so many. So the 9 in Neptune is a feeling sense. So a lot of what allows you to connect with your deepest feelings is when you're very focused in on a project, particularly when you're very focused in on the client. It connects you to yourself, actually. And the more that they connect with themselves, the more you connect with yourself, which is amazing. And then 18 is the gate of correction. So 18 likes to futz about and fix things that are not perfect. The gate 18 is fixing the crooked photo on the wall. I don't have gate 18, so I can see crooked photos and they can go that way for days. And then one day I'll look at it and go, oh, I have the energy to go fix that. And I'll walk over and adjust the photo. But I don't have gate 18, so I can see things that need correction, but I'll get to it when I get to it. Someone with gate 18, it's almost like you can't rest. If something's out of alignment, if something isn't perfect, if it's not pleasing to your visual senses, you're going to correct it. And the thing you have to watch out for, of course, is being critical or giving unsolicited advice, which of course you've learned not to do as a projector, because you'll get pushback.
Yep.
People will ignore you or shut you down or become defensive. But
Or
if
call
they
me
invite,
bossy.
what's that?
Or call me bossy.
Or bossy, yeah. But if the correction is invited, you're able to take something that's been spoiled or is on its way to being spoiled and turn it into something positive. And it's a lovely thing. And what's interesting is your gate 18 is in Pluto on both sides. Is it anywhere else? I think it's just there.
Yeah.
So Pluto, that planet way out on the outer edge of our solar system, is representative of our deepest truth. Our deepest truth. And your deepest truth is having the leadership as well as the almost system changing tools, because it's a line 5 and a line 6. We're not going to worry about these other lines way down deep in the DNA, but the number right after a decimal point, line 5, line 6. Line 5 is leadership, line 6 is system improvement. And 18 is seeking to correct systems. This is in your chart. Correct systems through working with groups. So your deepest truth is seeing things in a rather collective way. It has a bit of the tribal, but it's more seeing the big picture in the world and seeing, oh, well, Wouldn't it be great if companies were run more this way or teams work together that way? What could we do to improve how this organization is dealing with its obligations, its customers, its own employees, et cetera? And you have a profound vision for how this can happen. And the way you communicate it is through being an artist, because you have gate one, you have the whole 1-8 channel, which is the artist is gate one and the talent manager is gate 8, and you have both. So you can be your own manager. It's kind of a nice thing to have. But it's this driving force in you to be creative above all else in what you do. And fundamentally, because you have gate 25, what you're aiming for is the frequency of universal love. I mean, that's what the team needs, after all, is love. Right? Because when the team members love and respect each other and they see universal love as the point of the company, which is really the point of everything, is the ultimate point of everything, is this love frequency. It's all in the G center. It's all about love. It's the center of everything, is the G center. Center of our body, our own planet has a core. Everything in the universe, everything material, even if it's a rock, has a core that holds it together in form. So we're essentially held together by love. And you're seeking to create correction in these groups through the frequency that makes you Erin. So what are your thoughts about that? What I just shared?
Fascinating. You're such a master at this.
Really. Oh, thanks.
Yes. I feel like I'm going into this new realm, as you said. It's this evolution. And, a couple of years ago, I got my djembe drum. I've always been, I say my heart is East Coast and my soul is Cali, so I've got that crunchiness in me. I'm also from the school of peace in my hands. So that kind of resonates as far as bringing people together when you're saying, because at the heart of it is love. At the end of the day, it is all about it. And I do everything through laughter. I try to, but it's not all fun and games. It's, there's like that, there's the underside of it too. There's a deepness to it. And I think that's what I've stepped into more. And I'm willing to go there, because you can't have one without the other.
So as we wrap up our show, what would you say is the gift of laughter as you see it, of groups of people coming together and laughing?
Laughter is a universal language. Everybody speaks it. Everyone understands it. And it brings you together because what it does physiologically to your body, it frees you up. And when you're free, you're out of your own way. I feel like you're in your true self, even if it's just for a fleeting moment. You just, the endorphins are going, the dopamine's going, and you're going to be more apt to hug the person next to you or not be so annoyed, by the guy who's elbowing you. So laughter is medicine, laughter, in one word, I would say it's the universal language. That if everyone would just get better at speaking it, we'd have a happier, we'd be at a higher vibration, I think, in the planet.
Agree. Thank you.
Thank you
for today. And thank you everyone for listening. Our links to find out more about what Erin is up to are in the show notes. Erin, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Align to Your Design. If you did, please grab my free report, Business by Design, at yourpurpose.com, and then join our Facebook group, Align to Your Design. See you next time.